So at Coachella this year, the political messaging was quite palpable in the air. They gave Bernie Sanders a little moment on stage to give a speech to the audience. And there were several musical acts that took the opportunity to wave Palestinian flags and Ukrainian flags and make statements about supporting Palestine and anti-Israel messaging, also a lot of anti-Trump messaging. For instance, Green Day doing the little lyric change about the MAGA agenda. All of that is unsurprising, but I think that Glastonbury has taken that to a whole new level. And it's actually kind of worrying because there was an art piece dedicated to billionaires, and it essentially was calling for their deaths in a veiled way, starring J.K. Rowling and others. They say if you take a trip to Glastonbury's Block 9 this year, you'll be met with a mural that depicts J.K. Rowling and an array of notable figures boarding a spaceship to Mars. The mural is part of a collaboration between Block 9 and Led by Donkeys, a British political campaign group. The installation depicts Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and of course J.K. Rowling sporting orange spacesuits boarding a spaceship to Mars. Accompanying the mural is a sign that reads, Block 9 and Led by Donkeys have constructed a massive space rocket to carry Musk, Zuckerberg, and Bezos to the Red Planet, and it's launching from Glastonbury. The tech bros want to go to Mars, so we're sending them there. There's room on the rocket for a few morsels, so they're going to be joined by Trump, Netanyahu, Vance, Farage, and Rowling, just some of the people who in recent years who have made life on Earth more difficult for the rest of us. And then this came to J.K. Rowling's attention on X. They posted her and said, I mean, J.K. Rowling has been a lesbian icon, but this takes it up a notch or two. And J.K. Rowling responded saying, I'm really confused. Am I supposed to feel insulted? This is the coolest I've ever looked in my life. Like, she is just nonplussed at all times. Yeah. She's impossible to bully into submission. She just it finds it all funny. Yeah. I'm sure the rest of them would too.
In the chat, Andy says no Mark Cuban. Well, no. I mean, they should have, because Mark Cuban turned down the chance to run for vice president last election cycle.
As well as the mural, there is a Tesla alongside it that has been crushed, and a massive shipping container has been placed on top of it. The car was crushed by a World War II veteran, Ken Turner, who decimated the car in an army tank. In a video showing the crushing taking place, he said, I'm old enough to have seen fascism the first time around. Now it's coming back. Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, is using his immense power to support the far right in Europe, and his money comes from Tesla cars. Well, I've got this message for Mr. Musk. We've crushed fascism before, and we'll crush it again. This man is 98 years old. I hope that he's not being, used in a sinister way for these stunts. But obviously, J.K. Rowling just was laughing at all of it. They can never.
And I'm sure J.K. Rowling has very little that she agrees with or even would want to interact with Elon Musk about.
But as you can see, it's obviously done in a tongue-in-cheek way, but it's riding the line of basically calling for the deaths of said billionaires who were depicted in the art piece. So,
which became more prevalent with the Bob Vylan posts.
Right.
Or, quotes.
So this musical act, Bob Vylan, showed up in front of Glastonbury and led this chant.
I don't know if we can can we show it? I should have asked beforehand whether we can show it or not. I honestly don't know.
I don't believe there would be a problem with just showing what happened.
All right, let's look at the clip here. Here we go.
Free! Alright, but have you heard this one though? Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF!
Yeah. So they just kept going with that. This Bob Vylan act, they also did similar statements at Coachella as well. One of the comments that was mentioned, they were performing with Kneecap as well, making pro-Palestine statements. They did say F Israel, free Palestine during that weekend. And now, as a result, Bob Vylan is under police investigation in the UK.
Yep.
They have been dropped by their talent agency. And also, they are fully banned from entering the United States. They have had their work visas revoked.
Yep.
As a result
State
of this.
Department to revoke
So-
work visas of British rock duo. And then there was a statement from the Deputy Secretary of State says the State Department has revoked the U.S. visas for the members of the Bob Vylan band in light of their hateful tirade at Glastonbury, including leading the crowd to death chants. Foreigners who glorify violence and hatred are not welcome visitors in our country.
What do you say about this? How do you feel?
The generic use of hateful tirade makes me, because I saw like the British framing of this was hate speech,
Right.
And
right.
hate speech is a vague,
They don't have free
nonsensical
speech there.
term.
Yeah.
Whereas here in America, there are very specific restrictions around speech, but this is America that's saying this generic term of hateful tirade.
Right.
I don't believe,
Like it
or I
could be
don't agree.
construed easily as an incitement to violence, which is not allowed, but they didn't say that in the statement from the State Department.
That was my issue with it, yeah.
And then the BBC addressed this because they were live streaming the entire event, and they said that they had regrets and they should have cut the stream when this began, but didn't. And that's why now they're under investigation in the UK, because they don't have free speech there, and they could easily at least face, fines for this, possibly jail time. It depends. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't like the norm that is established now where you're just going to get either deported or banned entirely from the United States for saying something that's bigoted. Like,
It's going to
that's
come back around like a boomerang.
not a good precedent to set. I don't like that.
Yep.
But I also understand where people are coming from. Like, it does seem like at least a veiled call to violence. But it's also...
But the IDF isn't
it's-
American.
Right. It's not about... Yeah, it's not about the U.S. military, and it's also not about any particular person or particular group of people. It's about a military in another country.
In the chat, Machinist says, foreigners don't get free speech in a country that isn't theirs. It wasn't even said in America. It was said in the UK.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you punish someone off platform. Like, remember when you'd get banned on Kickstarter for saying something on YouTube back in the day?
Right, yeah.
No, it sets a dangerous precedent.
I've also,
and-
I've been noticing that Spotify artists are oftentimes completely banned off of the platform if they're convicted of certain crimes in real life, like nothing to do with their music, but they get deplatformed anyway.
Now, if I was to take the other perspective, I'd say that these bands have done this before and gotten in trouble, specifically Kneecap, and that every time this happens, they're then shocked that this stuff happens, and they're like, oh, darn, it's the consequences of my own actions. So do I cry for them? No, but I don't necessarily agree, especially with the U.S.-based policy that they're taking into effect here.
Yeah, just gives me an uneasy feeling.
Like, this will eventually come back around.
They're obviously idiots. Of course, I'm not like defending anything that they've said or done. And I think that it's actually just embarrassing for them that they couldn't just simply perform their music and keep it pushing. Like, it doesn't need to be this stupid grandstanding. I swear, like, artists are just doing this to fill the airtime. Like, they know that they're not interesting enough to garner attention with their music. So they have to do controversial stuff like this to get a soundbite, to get a moment.
Yeah.
And they know that they can rely on people celebrating for them for this.
The criminal investigation in the UK makes perfect sense to me because they don't have free speech over there. And I imagine...
But I don't think that's right either. Like, I'm against hate speech laws.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right.
And they
it's
were
just
dropped
the way
by
it
their
is.
talent agency. So everything went wrong for them
UTA?
all at one time.
Right.
Yeah, and the UK stuff makes perfect sense. The American stuff, like, they weren't even here when they said it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I
mean,
don't support.
It's just not a good precedent to set, as I said, but
Again, I understand, and you're right. You don't have to let anyone into the country who speaks out against your country, I suppose. In this case, he's speaking out against the IDF, so it actually just puts more of a spotlight on America's relationship with Israel when suddenly you're banning people because they dislike a country that isn't you.
All that does fuel to the fire.
What's the statement? You're not beating those allegations when you do that.
Correct.
And
Correct.
what do you want me to do with it? It's like the band is stupid because they don't know how to get attention for anything else. And America is setting a precedent that will absolutely be used against them when the administration changes, and then they're going to cry when it's done against them.
Oh my gosh. So someone I know went to see kind of a small band doing they were playing a show at a small venue, but packed full of people. And the frontman of this band, literally between every song, went on a tirade about Palestine. Every single song, he was just going on and on. It almost seemed like he was reading from a script on the stage or something, or like reading something off of the palm of his hand. And the kid was just screaming.
Like the Haley, what was the one, the girl from Paramore, when she's reading the form.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it was obligatory. And then at the end of the show, this kid tells everyone, don't buy our merch. Use that money to donate to Palestine and to these organizations or whatever that we support. Okay, if you really meant that, your merch wouldn't be there up for sale, would it? Or you would commit to the audience in front of you that you're donating all of the proceeds, 100%, from your merch to those Palestinian organizations, if you really had the principles you claim to have. But obviously it's an attention grab, it's a virtue signal, and in some of these cases they're probably making these statements to get girls. I wasn't going to say the word I was about to say. I think that they're probably using it for female attention.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.